My name is Catherine O'Neill.
And I'm Stacy Welton, and this is Fund and Flip.
Welcome to Fund and Flip. We have as guests with us Allison and Terry Pazuk. My name is Catherine O'Neill.
And I'm Stacy Welton.
And we welcome you to this edition. Super glad to be able to be interviewing Allison and Terry, who have done a number of different things throughout their lives. And they're going to tell us about that and what they're doing right now. So let me turn it over to you guys. Can you share what you're doing, how you got into the business, a little bit about your history?
I am Allison Pazuk, and thank you so much for having me here on your podcast. It's an honor to be with you. I've watched both of you grow and create this fantastic business that you've got going on. So I'm just really glad to be a part of it and appreciate this. In terms of me, I used to be a teacher. I was a career teacher. Love connecting and explaining things to different people, explaining processes, and basically just helping people succeed. How about you? I'll let you introduce yourself.
Well, hello, I'm Terry, the other half of the team here. And I started off, I was a career auto mechanic, worked for 35 years fixing cars. And finally, between having enough of it, just finally it was over and done with. And in the meantime, someone here was buying a house and telling me that I had to go and flip it after work. So that was how I got started.
Well, that is excellent. And so from there, teachers and flipping on the weekends, where are you guys today?
Well, basically, I just wanted to mention that both of us worked a lifetime at our careers, but both of us were desperate for choice. We wanted to be able to take control and give ourselves choice, like time and freedom and what have you, and to be able to give back. So what we did is we ended up doing it the old-fashioned way, just buying a house. And as Terry mentioned, just doing some work on the side to be able to, believe it or not, we started off just holding on to them so that we could give really nice homes to families. And we've taken, honestly, we did take some chances. We broke the rules, and we didn't do the screening process properly, and we took our risk on some absolutely fantastic people. In actual fact, all three of our tenants in our 3 units, we've got a family from Nigeria that had a terrible credit score. And we've got another gentleman who has a very good income and what have you, but he had a kind of a rocky past. So anyway, all of them are fantastic. They all pay their rent on time. So the whole point of me saying that is that we started off in a different direction than where we ended. But the whole thing is we want to help people. So once we realized that we really didn't want to have units where we were holding tenants, we wanted to be able to basically find lost homes that had gone wayward and restore them to their previous beauty and allow new families and what have you to enjoy them. So
can you tell me a little bit about maybe some of your examples, either the people that you've come across who are selling these homes, or maybe some of the homes that you came across, and what were the opportunities that you saw in them that maybe, I don't know, for whatever reason were beyond the people who were in them at the time?
Sure. There's one in particular that I'm thinking, there's stories with most of them, but one in particular, and I'm just going to talk because I tend to do the acquisition piece, but these sellers, they're absolutely lovely people, and they're older. And when they bought their house originally, it was literally, they signed a piece of paper, they shook hands, and they passed a check between themselves. So the process now is just so different. We've got lawyers and we have contracts and we've got all of these showings, and they don't understand the commission aspect. So when I went in, I again, choice is a big part of it. I like to give the sellers choice. So I would just explain to them how I could help them. They can just sign a piece of paper with me. I will purchase the property, and then they don't have to worry about it anymore. Everything goes through the lawyer. There's nothing fancy, no sleight of hand or what have you, just like a realtor does. And but the difference being they don't have to pay me commission, and it's just explaining it to them. But I also said to them, please don't sign anything right now. Go and check it out with a realtor. If you don't have one, I'll recommend it. So they did. They went and checked it out with a realtor who offered them more money if it went on the market. But they said they were so thoroughly confused with the process that they just wanted to work with me. So I explained why my price was a little bit lower and what have you. And they totally understood. After we renovated the property, we actually invited them back to walk through it afterwards. And from the pair of them, the wife was just loved it. She was all over the house. She's just like, oh, this is so cool. I love the new renovation. The husband, he really struggled. He said, it's just that the way it was his home, and he grew up with it that way. And, it's change, and it changed the memories for him, but he was super happy with the process, and he liked what had been done, but it was just an emotional thing for him. So that's just one in specific that really kind of resonates. I'm still in touch with the sellers.
We've heard this from other people, how the sellers, they go you go the extra mile, you help out, you really try and understand what they're going through, and then support them in a way that might be a surprise to people, to be able to help them get a good end result and understand what their specific needs are. In the case of this couple, sometimes people like to leave like a lot of stuff behind and not have to worry about that. Was that part of this one, or did they take all of their stuff with them?
No, this one was we told them, leave whatever you don't want. It's plain and simple as that. We're here to help. Leave what you don't want. So the day we got possession of the place, we walked in and went, oh my goodness, this place is still almost fully furnished.
Wow.
We contracted a bin company. We brought in a 20 cubic yard bin. So that's one of the big ones. We filled it to the brim with old not antique, but just worn out, rotten old furniture, kitchen stuff. Just they left clothing. They left, there was 2 beds upstairs, dressers that were old and falling apart. Like nothing could have been salvaged or saved. And like I said, it took us probably 4 days just to clean the house out before we could even start renovations on it. But they were so happy because they didn't have to get rid of all this stuff. And being an older couple, they would have had to hire someone to haul it all out of there and then clean up afterwards. So just one of the things we offer.
The other thing
I know I helped my dad move after 30 years in the house, and it went on and on and on. And even though he'd only been in the house 30 years, sometimes people are in houses for 50 or 60 or 70 years. Even though it had only been 30 years, I was amazed at how much stuff. And I was, he was lucky. We were lucky that I was there. I can't imagine if you weren't there. And so what a relief to just take what you want to take and then have the option. You don't have to do it, but have the option of leaving the rest.
The other thing that I wanted to mention is that if there is any furniture that is useful to anyone else, there's still like appliances or any furniture and what have you, we do contact different organizations and reuse the furniture. We don't just randomly throw everything in the dump or something like that, helping again.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. Do you want to talk a little bit about your family and how maybe how does this work with your family, and you and Terry are working together, which may or may not work for some people. So tell us a little bit about that.
Go ahead.
I just wasn't sure if you wanted to say anything, but essentially it's us and then our daughter. So our daughter, we've got a picture when she was 2 years old of holding a hammer in her hand when she was sitting on the kitchen floor. So she's kind of grown up in renovations, and it honestly has helped her develop her into who she is. She's currently in the Navy and has taken the skills that she's picked up as she has moved on with her career. In terms of us working together, I think it's a great partnership. We are kind of like yin and yang. I will do the acquisitions. I get the property. We once we've closed on it, Terry grabs the key. He does all his stuff. He fixes it up. I do QC checks every now and again because my expectations are relatively high. I grew up with Dad as a carpenter, so I understand quality work. And so I do, that's what I was saying, I do the QC piece as well. And all of our properties, I'm sorry, I would live in. There are no shortcuts. We have to make sure everything is fantastic. Now I've gone on a tangent. Sorry, that's not family.
But that's great. It's like, it sounds like the properties are sort of part of your family, and it's wonderful to hear the quality control that you put in, and the attention to detail, and the I don't know, your focus, as I said earlier, on quality. That is really great.
Yeah, and I just wanted to go back to the family piece, if I may. Our daughter Emily, she has watched. We've been able to support her going through university. However, she was also smart enough to get scholarships. So what she's managed to do is to accumulate a fair amount of money, which she has also invested back into the company and into different flips. The first one she did was a property that we had in London, Ontario, and she invested in it. And then she also helped. What we did is we held it for a bit. Then when it closed, we painted and sold it. Okay. So she went up, she helped to paint it and what have you. And then she went to pick up the check from the lawyer in London as well. She got a spectacular return on her investment and made her realize that her money can work for her. So she's learning about investing as well.
That is excellent to be able to pass down to your kids. I know, Stacy and I sort of feel the same way, that this is part of our objectives as well with what we're doing, and also with this podcast, the idea that you can help instruct the next generation, or you can give them options that maybe you didn't know you had. Stacy's a serial entrepreneur. I am not. So this is maybe more of an eye opener for me. Stacy, do you have any questions or thoughts?
I just think it's so wonderful, Catherine, that these guys, and Allison and Terry, it's so great that you guys are able to make it a whole family affair. I think it's so incredible that you're teaching your daughter all of these skills, and that she's also learning as well. So I think that's really fantastic. Yeah.
Now, I know you've had different opportunities, Allison in particular, and you've looked at different things within real estate, but you've sort of settled on taking those houses, improving them, and then selling them. Can you tell me either why you've done that, or what is it that you like about that aspect of real estate?
That's a good question. I really like the flipping. I think it's because that's what I've grown up in. I've grown up in renovations, and Terry has always renovated all of our houses that we've ever had. So it's very familiar.
Yes, it's been 31 years of renovations. Every house we live in, I've got something taken apart at some point in time. And when it finally gets all back together, we sell it and move on.
But no, I enjoy the flipping. Essentially, I'm helping people, and that's what I love to do. Is I'm helping people when I buy a property, I'm helping people throughout the construction. We've got some employees that we're helping, not only by giving them a check, but also we're coaching them and mentoring them as well. They're also investing in different properties with us, always helping out other subcontractors throughout the process. And then on the buyer's end, we're giving them a fabulous home to live in that they don't have to worry about fixing up. So it's just what we love to do.
It sounds like a win-win for, well, not just for you guys as well as the buyer, but also you mentioned contractors or employees that you're working with. Can you talk a little bit about that process and the fact that you become, you're sharing the wealth and the opportunity beyond you guys, but also with some of the people in your city?
Our employee, we found him essentially from a group, Cash Flow Tribe, and he came in just to help us put down some flooring, and we started chatting with him and realized that he's got a lot of, he's young, but he has a lot of great vision as to where he wants to go. So he started hanging around more, doing more, learning from Terry, learning from the mentorship that Terry was giving him. He was also picking up more of the tasks, to the point that last year, at the end of last year, I said, rather than you not being sure and running the risk of running your own business type of thing, would you like to come on and we'll give you a salary, which he did, and benefits and what have you. And on top of that, some of the money that he had, he said, how can I invest this? And I said, well, if you want, you can put it in on our next flip. And so he's done that 3 times now. And then he just gets a small percentage of the profits coming out of the flip. But he's grown that. I'm sure he's doubled his money by now from those 3 flips, just a small amount. So, being sort of, don't want anyone thinking that we're that profitable, that we're getting hundreds and hundreds of thousands. That's not the case at all by the time we run the business and what have you. But Nathan's one part of it, but again, it just starts with conversations with different subcontractors, and then us just saying, hey, listen, if you ever want to partner on any of them, or if you ever want to participate in any of the flips, we like to give out back that way. Did you want me to go any further?
Yeah, I think it's great that you're, well, first of all, Terry, that you're mentoring sort of like the next generation and taking the knowledge and the wisdom that you have and passing it down. That is something that we all should be doing. So great that that's the case, and that mentorship is available. But also then that you're engaging. You're not just keeping it to yourself, but you're broadening up to your daughter, to Nathan, to probably others, the opportunity to be able to learn by doing and come in a small way to see if they like it, to see if it makes sense for them, if this is their vision for themselves, and then to help them with that. I think that's just really excellent and very, very generous of you.
Thank you. Locally, the food bank, we are always giving to the food bank, and I worked at a pregnant parenting school, and it's just spectacular to me to see these young moms when they have their children and they really want to be able to make their life better for their children, but then they can't find a house to live. So again, part of my vision is I really, really want to be able to have a multifamily in the future, perhaps one that we purchase to flip the units and increase the value in the building. But I want to have a certain number of units set aside for them to be able to move into at a reduced rent, subsidized, and or having some of the new immigrants, giving them a place to live as well. So that's all part of the plan.
Well, that is just so wonderful that you have a plan that, both internationally and then locally, you're looking at giving back. So it's not just, I guess, I don't know, sometimes you think today there's so much about just me. And so nice that, and maybe because we're all getting older, maybe the idea of you start to look around and say, if there's something that I can do to improve the world, to give back and help the next generation or the generation after have some of the advantages that I had, that's a great thing to do. So, good on you guys. So I was going to ask you, with the money that you're making, how are you using, but you've already talked a little bit about some of the charity that you're looking at. I hear that you're plowing the money back into the business, and then with Nathan, the employee, and other people as well, you're providing jobs and roles and industry in your community. So that's excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just wondering, Allison, and Terry, I was just sort of wondering, if someone was looking to get started, is mentorship a big component of it? Would you say is that the biggest component? Is there something else that you would say to them about, what their steps would be to?
I do believe that they need to be around people to guide them in the right direction. So they should get a mentor of some sort. Obviously, I'm very biased towards Cashflow Tribe. They've honestly changed our lives and helped to put us on the path to the success that we're having right now. So absolutely, I would recommend that. That would be, I would definitely say, as a first step. They, of course, if anyone is looking to get started and looking for some information, feel free to reach out to me, us, and we'll see if we can help in some way if you're interested in flipping.
Well, and how would they go about doing that? Yes.
Yeah. To that end, if they wanted to reach you, because although your contact information will be in the notes, if people are listening online and aren't able to read the notes, how might they get a hold of you?
Sure. The easiest way, oh man, my name's not easy to spell, so do make sure that you look in the notes. It's Allison Pazuk, so ALLISON PAZUK. Either at gmail.com or at Allison Pazuk on any of the social media. I'm the one who generally does the communication, so I could give you Terry's, but might not happen.
I'm going to say, I'll be happy to show you around and teach anything you need to know if you want to come out to a job site, but I'm much more friendly and happy in that environment any day. So
yeah, and likewise, one thing I didn't mention in terms of being able to help people, and I just quickly looked at my notes here, is helping investors. So not only is it the contractors, but investors who have seen what we're doing and they're like, hey, how do we get into this? Our brother-in-law is an accountant, and of course, I'm generalizing, but accountants are generally very analytical before they invest their personal money. And he has been investing with us for a little while now, and allowing people to access their lines of credit, their, either personal or house lines of credit, and access that equity. And I know that's what you folks are doing as well. So highly recommend, if any investors do have any questions about that process, they can obviously reach out to you because that's your business. But if they want to hear about it from the flipping perspective and how it's worked for our investors, then reach out to find that out as well. So I just wanted to mention that piece.
Certainly, that is something, a focus that we have in this series, is to be able to help people understand that through their properties or other assets that they have, actually might have more flexibility to be able to not have to sell those, but still be able to use them to be able to turn a small profit so that they don't have to dip into their savings for some of the things that they want to do. We have Andrea Murison coming on in a short period of time, and she's going to talk specifically about some of the things that she's done and she's aware of. So I really appreciate your saying that, because I think for so many of us that if we didn't, you go through school, but you don't end up with a financial education and learn how to use some of the money that you're getting, or the appreciation, if you're in Southern Ontario or British Columbia, that you've got in your house, and you think it's just an asset that will only benefit me either when I sell or when I die. And it's like, actually, you can use it before that. So we will certainly get into that. But thank you for reminding us, and little teaser on that.
Perfect. And then the other, if anyone happens to know of anyone that has a property that's a little bit dated, the green shag carpet or the harvest gold appliances, or if they need to sell, they've got too much stuff, green trim outside, please reach out. I would love to be able to assist.
I think that is absolutely wonderful. Stacy, do you have any questions, or should we remind people where they can find us?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Allison and Terry. I really appreciate your time and expertise. And I think it's really wonderful what the two of you are doing. And it sounds so much, it's just so inspiring how much you're giving back and how you really use your business for greater good. I find that so, just really incredible. So thank you very much. But yes, absolutely. If you want to reach out to us, then you can reach us on Instagram at equity_hub, or you can email us at equityhubtoronto@gmail.com. And this will all be linked down here in our bio. So I just want to say thank you very much. We really appreciate you guys spending the time with us today.